Hi, everyone. Tonight I'm going to be talking to you about the activity that would have happened during week 9. Unfortunately, because we're not meeting face to face, we didn't get to the activity, but I wanted to review with you the content and the information that goes along with it. So the way it's set up is the activity is based on the historical Silk Road, and the way students engage in it is that I put them in groups based on the towns along the Silk Road, and then they will exchange information, and it ends with kind of a bar trivia. Like I said, unfortunately, we get to play this, but the information for each town is useful, especially when we're trying to wrap up our module and look at west compared to east. So the way this works is the historical Silk Road pretty much starts somewhere over here in Greece or Turkey, depending on the time period. The Silk Road is not just one; there's many throughout the history of the world. But over here in the west, we've got Greece and Turkey, and this major city or this major hub of Antioch. And as you travel along it, you end on here, Chang'an, which is in modern day Shanghai in China, right? So that's the connection between West and East. And the reason this is connected is largely for goods and services. In the West, we have things like metals, textiles, like wool, those kinds of things, which are traveling along to China, where they have gunpowder, silk, paper, ink. So there's a lot of materials that are moving back and forth between the two, right? Um, so as they're exchanging goods, they're also exchanging their culture, right? So in the West, you've got things like Christianity, um, Aristotle, Plato, Western philosophy, that kind of ideas. And the East, we have the things that we talked about in class of this module: Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, right? And then Hinduism and Islam are also going to be part along this road as well. As you are looking at towns on this side of the board, those are very westernized towns. We get to this side of the board, they're very easternized towns. And you'll see in the middle, they're blending both their culture and their goods. So my goal is going to be to just kind of hit some highlights about each town and explain how, as people were traveling here, they would stop off in these oases and get goods and materials that they needed in order to continue to travel. But in doing so, they create these really rich historical places that are along this road. All right, so the first one is Antioch here, and this town's probably most famous for the fact that it's kind of seat of Christianity. It's where Christianity starts. Paul is known for doing his missionary work here. Later on in Rome, and then medieval period, this becomes the seat of the church. And then there's also that's where the division happens between Roman Catholicism and Greek Orthodoxy, right? So this is really noted for its roots to Christianity as a whole. And then as we move onto the next town, Ecbatana, Ecbatana is really known for being one of the wealthiest towns along the Silk Road. It has a lot of farming goods, fruits, vegetables, cereal grains. It's also where Alexander the Great really kind of put the seat of his empire. And it's also where Darius the Great has the Persian Empire. And there's actually many cities named Ecbatana over time. The one that's the historical Ecbatana is where we have Darius the Great's tomb, and it's kind of the depiction of the greatest part of the Persian Empire. Continuing on, the next city is Merv. Merv is where we have a large Buddhist temple, but it's also where Genghis Khan is noted for kind of seeding his empire. Little known fact about Genghis Khan: not only did he conquer most of this area, but he was so ruthless in his conquering that a person a person of his contemporary, somebody who lived at the same time as Genghis Khan, would have somewhere probably around 100 descendants today, maybe 1,000, depending on the statistical data. Genghis Khan has over 1 million descendants today, and that's largely because of his ruthlessness. He was noted for when he would sack a town, he would kill all the men and he would rape the women in order to spread his seed. Um, Not only was he ruthless, but his son was also ruthless. And so this is where we see some of the bloodiest battles in human history is in Merv. This is also where the religion of Zoroastrianism is founded. That is an old Persian religion that has its kind of roots connected to Christianity. There's an evil God and a good God, and they're at war for humanity's destiny. So that's also here in Merv. Continuing on, if we move on to the Khotan, so that's this region right here. This area also noted for a large Buddhist state. So it's one of the first times the Buddhists actually formed their own country. Um, but it has a lot of connection back to China. In fact, China sacks this area and controls it for centuries. So much so that when China would go to war, oftentimes they would pull from the Khitan warriors, and the Khitan men would leave their farms. When they did so, if they could afford to, they would bring their sons with them. If they couldn't afford to, they'd leave their sons at home. When they did that, they would go off into war and they would take new wives wherever they were battling, abandoning their old wives and their daughters. Oftentimes, their daughters would be sold into slavery or servitude if they couldn't afford to maintain them. And then when we return home after battle, they just go right back to normal and live with their lives. So this is a rich area of cultural history, but it's got a lot of violence and a lot of war because of where it's seated geographically. Continuing on, we got Dunhuang, which is near the capital now of China. It's a really interesting area because it's got these really intricate cave systems, and in those cave systems, there are these kind of like Buddhist temples where not only Buddhism, but also you have things from like Hinduism and other of the Dharmic traditions written here. There are a lot of languages spoke here, so Tibetan, Uyghur, Sanskrit, which is a sacred language of Hinduism, and the Sogdian languages, all part of the libraries in these cave systems. Also, really interesting is a geographical feature. Right above the cave systems are known as the singing sands. So when the wind actually blows through that area, those dunes kind of bark or whistle because of like an acoustic phenomenon. And then lastly, we get to Chang'an, where we have the seat of China. Actually, Qin, the first emperor of China, his capital is here, and so he conquers most of the area. The word China comes from Qin, the emperor. So initially spelled like this, and if you add the A, that's how we get to the word China, right? So um, Qin is noted for being one of the most most able conquerors in China. He really kind of solidifies the empire. He was such a powerful emperor that he created the 10,000 terracotta warriors, which is they're very famous um, sculptures that were in his burial chamber, and they were meant to guard him in the afterlife. Another fact is that the reason Qin died actually at a rather early age is because he continually dosed himself with mercury. His alchemists believed that that's what would make him immortal. We now know that's not a good plan. So he ended up, when he died, they ended up burying him in this chamber with these 10,000 warriors. And we recently excavated these. There's a whole National Geographic explaining how like we've excavated them, and each one is this really intricate, detailed soldier. No two soldiers are alike. Their horses and chariots, all carved out of terracotta, which is a clay-like material. This is also where Confucius would have been teaching, and one of the things that Confucius taught was the ideal man or the Yunzi. Yunzi means like the philosophical ideal person. And so one of the tenets of Confucianism is that to achieve that was to be scholarly, to be learned, to practice music, and to really be a cultured or refined person. So that comes out of this area as well. Right. So that gives you kind of a brief overview of the Silk Road, and it gives you kind of highlights of each of the oasis towns along the way. And this is for hundreds and hundreds of years. People travel along this road in order to exchange goods, like I said, also to exchange ideas. And so in class, when I do this activity, a lot of the goal is to really try to figure out, okay, where does the blending continue, and where is it more Western versus more Eastern. So hope you enjoy learning about the Silk Road, and good luck on all of your assignments for this week. I'll be talking to you soon.